Today we have Claire on, and today we'll be talking about her work around embodiment, healing, and restoring flow in the body through practices like somatic movement, yoga, breathwork, lymphatic drainage as well, and hot and cold therapy. She is a somatic and trauma-informed yoga teacher, breathwork facilitator, energy healer, and founder of Body Rituals Wellness, which is in Mandurah, everyone. Please go look at it. It's a great space. In this episode, we're going to dive into some crazy topics like how trauma, neurodivergence, and autoimmune conditions show up in the body, the spiritual dangers of working with certain practitioners, and how to spot red flags, and why the body positivity movement may or may not be as empowering as we think. You want to hear all of this. At the end as well, she'll be sharing an offer for her upcoming Surrender into Soma retreat. So tune into the episode and we'll see you at the end. So take a deep breath, drop into your body, and let's get into it. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Amanda.
Welcome. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks. Super excited to be here chatting to you today. We have some epic chats all the time. So yeah, it's nice to turn some of that into a podcast. So it's cool.
Others can tune into our weirdness and our wildness, our random conversations. I love it. And how are you feeling in your body today before we drop into the chat?
Good question. I feel really open actually. I feel really open and yeah, excited to get into this. We're talking about some pretty cool things today, some things that light me up. So yeah, I feel great.
I love
Full body.
yeah. Thank you for sharing. Open is like exactly what we need today. That's
Mm.
why that's why we rescheduled and have it on a day where
Yeah.
we feel good. I'd love to start hearing about, what you do, your work. It's so powerful and you have such a large variety, but it all goes to this really deep place. So I'd love to hear what you do.
Yeah, cool. So it's always the worst question, right? The hardest one to answer. Like, what do you do? Summarize it. And I think it's impossible to completely summarize it. It's a constant, it's always developing. It's never the same. It's different depending on who I talk to or who I'm working with. But I think the common thread there is working with people to help them connect back to their bodies. And this can be through my yoga side of things, yoga and embodiment through Soma rituals. Soma meaning, Soma comes from the word somatics, which actually means in the body. And then so the sister business to that is body rituals. So yeah, whether that's helping people reconnect to their bodies after trauma, especially through yoga, somatic yoga, breath work, energy sort of healing, things like that. Or if it's more in the sense of connecting back to their body through a period of stress, coming back to their body through relaxation practices like massage and other body works. Or we have a lot of women come in postpartum who are looking to connect back to their bodies. And one of the ways that they do that is through like lymphatic drainage and body sculpting. So it's actually really interesting seeing the different side of, I guess, the different side of body sculpting and the way that we can help people reconnect to their bodies through, through body sculpting. Just last week, I had a woman who, I won't share too many specifics, but long story short was her son's 18th birthday coming up. And she just said, I've been disconnected from my body from birth until now. My whole life has just been about looking after my son and providing the best for him. And she's like, this 18th birthday is, him becoming an adult and leaving the nest, but also her reclaiming her own body. And for her, that was aesthetically, it was like, right, I'm going to shift this, the cellulite that she'd accumulated on her belly from postpartum that she'd like never addressed. And yeah, it was like reclaiming her confidence in her own body. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, what I do is I help people reconnect to their bodies.
I love that. What makes you feel like it's important to connect back to your body personally?
Oh, I think I guess I can only speak from my own experience of being disconnected from my body. And for me, I felt like I was literally running around just like I was just like a head, really. I had no connection to my body from the neck down for so long. Um, so I made choices that weren't helpful and that were harmful on a physical and spiritual sort of level because I was disembodied. So there's a bit of an old saying. I think it may potentially originated from Tantra, perhaps, but it's like there's three centers in the body where you need to be generating a yes from. So it's not only the head, but it's also the heart and then the gut. So like your intuition. And if you're disembodied, we're only making decisions from the head, potentially not even good decisions from the head, you know.
Yeah.
So we need to have, yeah, we need to have that connection, our head and our heart and our body, you know, mind, body, soul, all those sorts of things. They all still mean the same thing, that embodiment. Yeah.
I've never heard that saying, but like I've felt that saying before. Like it feels like, right? You as soon as I made
Yeah.
decisions from heart and gut as well as head, it was so different and slow and grounded, and they made more sense. And they ended up
Yeah.
with better outcomes every time.
Yeah. And I mean, we hear the saying full body yes, like check if it's a full body yes or full body no. But like, what does that mean? And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know, like, I think it's a full body yes, but they're really only they're still cognitively thinking about it. Um, Whereas I think this is where the somatic stuff comes in. So the breath work, the yoga, and the movement, because we're teaching that embodiment. We're teaching that awareness to drop into the belly, to drop into the breath, to drop into the intuition, and to drop into the heart space as well. So it's like you learn how to recognize or how to listen to really, how to listen to your body so that you know if it is a full body yes or a full body no. Yeah. And sometimes one of the centers can be out. Like quite often this happens for me. I'll be like, yeah, it's a belly yes, it's a heart yes, but my head's like, oh, I don't know about this.
I feel like that's the cycle you go on because you're like, it's trying to
Yeah.
go back to the head where it's like, we can problem solve this and will, work out all the issues. And then we have to go to the head for that. But it's like,
Yeah.
actually, those two lower ones are onto something here. Let's not panic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 One of the first times I was like fully in my body was so ridiculous. I literally felt like I was high, like everything was soft and like everything I touched was like, oh my God, I can feel like you just feel so much more deeply as I got out of my head. And then like the silence came in my head as well. It's just
Mm,
like that's the bonus of going down to your body. That
yeah.
overworking cycle in your head stops. Surprisingly enough, that's a thing that happens.
Yes.
Can
I
happen.
would love to know if you want to share what you were doing, if you can remember, or what brought on that like first time you felt in your body and felt that.
Oh yeah. I was using NLP techniques throughout the day and a little bit of hypno, but it was more so that conscious awareness of I'm in my head. It was like that like knowing and that understanding. I guess I actually built up to that. It was probably like over days um where you get to be like you get to feel the sensation of I'm in my head and then you feel like a momentary sensation of I'm in my body, but you can't hold it and
mm,
it's like a fleeting and you're like, oh, that's what that's meant to feel like. And you go, oh. And then you like it took me a long time actually to like, yeah, come back to like being able to come back into my body. But there was this one day where I like nailed it and it was there. And I was like, oh my God, this is new. And this is how people feel sometimes, like most of their life when they're not in their head. Um,
yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
it's really good. It felt like a really like a softening. It was very like I went from hard edges and that kind of, I don't know, existence to like just embodied. just
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
calm and just it like yeah, that more knowing builds up and you just have a knowing of what you're meant to do and what the answers are in a way.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's it. And you hit the nail on the head there, so to speak. It takes practice.
Yeah.
Like you can't, it's a long journey. You literally can't be like, right, okay, I've spent the last 20 years of my life partying, drinking, doing whatever, living up in my head. But today I'm going to be embodied. Like it doesn't happen. There's so many layers. There are so many layers. And we're constantly peeling back a new layer. And even then when you think you get there, and then there's always another layer. There's another layer to rip off to get to that next level underneath that next layer of embodiment. And I I think there's a lot of messaging around living in an embodied way, and which of course that you should, but almost there's almost this pressure that comes with that, that is like we should always be embodied. But that's not accessible for a lot of people
Yeah.
for many reasons. Maybe they're just in a job where they can't be embodied and they have to use their logical cognitive brain. But
Yeah.
also it's I say to people like we're still also human. You know,
Hmm.
we have shit come at us like daily.
Yeah.
Uh, so you can respond to all these things in a normal human way, but it's coming back to that little moment of embodiment, even if it's just dropping into the body for a couple of breaths before you respond or before you take an action. Um, yeah, so it's those little moments. I think the magic is in those small little moments, like micro moments. Yeah, rather than looking at it like this big, unachievable, inaccessible thing where like that was some of the like embodiment facilitators on Instagram at the moment, right? And they're just walking around in their like farm with this like white floaty lace dress on, like
Not
milking the
how to look.
cow, and they're they got all the
Yeah.
babies, and they're like, oh, I'm just embodied and I'm in my feminine and blah, like no.
Mm.
That's quite unattainable for a lot of people. And yeah, I'm really about like realistic embodiment and applying it to life and making it accessible.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it's just letting people know that yeah, it doesn't have to be this big thing. It doesn't have to be all in all the time. You can have those little micro practices, and you can practice dropping into your body just a little bit each day, even just for a moment. And over time, as you said with yourself, then you have these bigger feelings of, oh, right, okay, you can spend a little bit longer there, or you can go a little bit deeper. But yeah, it is a journey. It is a
Exactly.
constant practice. Yeah.
Yeah. Those moments, yeah, of micro awareness of what you're doing, that's for sure. Like what you
Hmm.
need to like kind of understand or like where to go. And I don't know, yeah, you just get different. It's like you have a different roadmap in front of you where you're like, I
Yeah.
have more options of what to do here in this moment where I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And I feel like it's really
Mm.
and what you're saying is super important about you don't need to be embodied all the time. There's a way of looking at it of like it's from a different place of like you can be kinesthetic or you can be I can't remember all of them logical and each aspect of life kind of asks for different things, right? Like you want to be in that logical brain when you're at work, that's fine, but like bringing in that like you were saying in the yin and the yang, that little dot in the yin
Yeah.
into the feminine, bring some masculine into that
Yeah.
logical, bring a little bit of that moment of like grounding and what we're calling embodiment, which we're probably throwing around that word a lot now. But
Yeah.
yeah, that moment of being in your body as well as doing the logical stuff and being here, but being aware that that's like you can cross that threshold. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's being aware of um yeah, I guess just holding that awareness of what is happening within the body while you are in the brain also, and having to make these, logical decisions about things, just having that dual awareness of how's that showing up in my body? How's that making my body feel? Maybe it's showing up in some like physical symptoms as well. So that all ties into the embodiment. It's, I guess, in a nutshell, is complete presence and awareness. Um, and it doesn't have to have your full attention all the time, but it's there in the background on like maybe a subconscious, like minor level. You are constantly aware of what's happening within the body. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think that starts with first knowing what it feels like, getting that little micro moment of at the very start of your journey of being like, oh, that's what that's meant to feel like. And then you kind of,
Yes.
it's not like it's like a pulling that's like pulling you back to that feeling. It's really nice. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I can go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Possible. Yeah.
I don't think I felt that for so long. I've talked about this before. My oh God, I couldn't trace it back to a particular age. I would say the majority of my childhood has been disembodied. And it was from a place of like disassociation, disconnect to for safety
Mm-hmm.
and survival. Um, and anyway, fast forward to the age of 19, I decided to try yoga. This was my first yoga class. It was Bikram yoga. I had no idea what it was. It's like the hot yoga. So that's funny because that was like what my first experience of yoga was. I didn't know that there was like yin yoga and all these other things that I found out about later on. It was this carpeted, hot, sweaty, stinky room,
Mm.
and actually so many men as well. And everyone was like grunting and just oh,
I'm
doing all
surprised
these.
you stuck with yoga after that.
I remember the breath that they did at the start of the class. It's the Bikram yoga breathing, and it's a very like a Darth Vader, like very like raspy breath. And I just remember thinking, what the fuck is this shit?
Oh my God.
But anyway, I did yoga for on and off in different styles. Anyway, for so long, I did Bikram first, and then went into like more of a power vinyasa, which is a fast-paced flow. It's almost like that real dancey sort of flowy movement. And and I mean, you would have your shavasana, that little rest at the end of the class. And I was that person who got up and walked out of shavasana because I was like, why the fuck am I laying down? Like, why? This is
Wasting
dumb. And
time. Yeah.
they're guiding you into your body and into your breath. And I'm just laying there like, cool. I feel nothing.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So that went on for so long. And I guess it wasn't until late in my 20s when I started to have those little moments of that embodiment where I obviously had dropped into my body just a bit or just connected with my body a bit. And then I was like, oh, and then the little pennies started dropping. Um, but it still took so long to practice being able to access that. Like there was times I was trying to access that once I knew what it was and the point of it. And I was like, cool, I want to try and get into my body.
Yeah.
But I feel good for so long. Um, so but yeah, it was once I had those little fleeting moments of feeling in my body. But yeah, it still took so long. Um,
Takes a long time, yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that time I was really in my body. Yeah, that was like years of shit untangling. And then it just kind of happened. And it was like moments where I've felt it before, but also I didn't know that I felt it before. I think it was just like, yeah, again, that like logical view of like, yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, yeah.
And there's a lot of safety
Mhm.
in taking it slow. And I guess just yeah, strengthening that muscle. And I think the word for it is like titrate, like titrating that, especially if you are disconnected or disembodied from trauma, like being in your body is actually scary. So if you're put into a place or experience a thing or a modality perhaps where you are dropped into your body and you haven't worked on that nervous system regulation, you haven't worked on titrating those sort of sensations and the ability to sit with the things that are there, and it can be really scary and life changing. And yeah, they call it like a spiritual emergency,
Mm.
spiritual psychosis. It's called so many things, and we're seeing a lot of it now with obviously the trend in I guess like big experiences, like big breathwork breakthroughs, and like kundalini energy activation, that kind of thing. So people are chasing these big experiences, but they haven't done that work, like going to those yoga classes or doing something where they can drop into their body. It could even be through fitness and other things, even at the gym, could be through anything. But, they haven't had those sort of experiences of connecting with their body. And then they're like, oh, cool, I'm going to go try this, breath work event or whatever it may be. And for some people, they get dropped into the bodies real quick and everything comes up to be processed. And that's why you see a lot of people like crying and screaming and shaking and raging out. And a lot of people haven't done any of that, sort of like pre-work or pre-processing to get there. And yeah, they might have had a big release and stuff on the day, but you don't see the after effect of how that actually affects them, and it can be really like re-triggering, re-traumatizing. And yeah, there's so many other things that can happen there, like with their I guess there's mental state as well, how they process energy in their body and stuff too. Yeah, yeah, that's where we see people have yeah, breakdowns, psychosis episodes. I did inverted commas there because it's not really actually psychosis, but yeah, that's what they would that's what the doctors would say it was when they go to the doctors and like, what's going on? Yeah. So
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Would that mean they probably won't go back to do, well, they might not go back to doing, more inner work because they're re-traumatized, and then maybe you go to a
Absolutely.
doctor and then you do get put into a mental ward. Mm,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just puts people, one step forward, 10 steps backwards.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I've actually had a few people recently come into my field and asking for advice, and just sharing that's happened to them. Uh, yeah, those sort of
That's
they
crazy.
hadn't dropped into their body before, hadn't connected with that, and then went to some event where they've had that big experience, and now they just don't know how to handle being in their body because their body is running the show,
Hmm.
but it's all chaotic. There's, they don't sleep, they can't sleep. There's all sorts of things going on. They are not in control of their body. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's gotta be an interesting feeling. Yeah, I can only imagine how scary that would be. Is there a
Yeah.
way that or you might have seen, or you understand of like how we could help that from happening? Like help
Mhm.
people prepare before they go to these things, or check in that they might,
Mm.
not have one of these moments or might have one of these moments.
Yeah. There needs to be, I guess this ties into like the red flags, right? And the spiritual healing, woo-woo, whatever you want to call it, holistic sort of space. There's a lot of people out there offering things that are pretty powerful, and they're not giving that full disclosure. They're not doing their due diligence in the sense of um, making sure that they're like maybe pre-screening people that are coming to these events, or having some pre-screening sort of questions around it, and also not offering any aftercare or support or referring on. um, Yeah, so spiritual red flags. Big one that's happening at the moment, which is like a huge trend, of course, as I said before, is yeah, like the big breathwork experiences, big breakthrough breathwork. If you've
Mm-hmm.
got someone coming to a breakthrough breathwork event and they've never connected with their breath before, they shouldn't be, they shouldn't really be going to these events. Energy work as well. A lot of people are doing Kundalini activations. Kundalini is a word for essentially energy. Um, it derives from like the tantric lineage, and yoga practices, a lot of breathwork practices work on gently, I guess, cultivating this energy, cultivating this Kundalini in our body. And Kundalini practitioners are actually going out there now and activating people's Kundalini to cause those sort of body shakes and sensations and that convulsing that you sort of see. And that's that energy moving through their body.
Mm.
But then those people don't know because they've never done any sort of energy cultivation practices. They don't know how to manage that. So that shaking, that convulsing continues to happen. And
Mm.
they don't have any control of that. So yeah, spiritual red flag. I guess not having any pre-screening or discernment or sort of disclosure around what could happen and what it actually is. I went to a Kundalini event just recently and I was so amazed that the practitioner didn't, she just got everyone to lay down. She was like, oh, let's just get into it. I'm like, I mean, I knew what Kundalini was, but I there were women in the room who didn't.
Mm.
And to just lay down, close your eyes, and have someone standing over you, um, playing in your energy field is, yeah, a red flag. A
Definitely.
red flag. Unless, of course, you know what you're going into and you know what you're getting yourself into. You've dabbled in it before, perhaps, or it's consensual. And I think that's this thing is there's this non-disclosure. How can you consent when you don't have a full understanding of what is actually of what you're attending or what you're actually going to be going through or going to experience? So
Mm.
yeah, I guess that
Yeah.
answers the question in a way. What can we do is just knowledge, disclosure, knowledge, put the knowledge out there. There's a lot of gatekeeping of knowledge, especially in like the spiritual realms. Yeah, so just empowering people and having these conversations and talking about, yeah, the full spectrum of, yeah, the good and the bad and all of it.
Yeah, empowering them for sure, giving them power back, not
Absolutely.
being like I'm taking that away from you and you're coming and being subjected to this. Um,
Yeah.
and I guess does that happen to people too? That would probably happen to people for sure that maybe have never looked back in their past and don't know that they have quote unquote trauma in their past or something
Mm.
that might come up.
Hmm.
Um, I
Happens
guess
all the time. All the
yeah.
time. Yeah. Yeah. When people have a memory, because we suppress memories, the body, I guess the mind suppresses them, but they're always in the body. And when we do these embodiment practices or these big embodiment practices, we can, yeah, bring up suppressed memories, emotions, all that kind of stuff. And that can be some pretty big shit. Like I know people who've had memories of, yeah, assaults and abuse as a child come up, all sorts of things. Yeah. And then they're sort of left at the end of the event, just going, okay, like, see you later. They're left with no support.
Mm.
uh, and they're left to sort of process this on their own. Not every practitioner, of course, is like this. There are a lot of amazing people out there offering pre and post event support. But yeah, that is definitely something that can and does happen a lot. Yeah.
Crazy. So if those people are like, they want to do a big event like this, but they've never done anything before, what do you think they could do before? Like, could you do one-on-one breath work, or is that also too much? Or where could you start if you think you
Yeah.
have the trauma as well, or quote unquote trauma?
Yeah. So start with finding a support network or some sort of system to support you. So I guess that's either having close friends or family or a partner that can help you, or perhaps a mentor.
Mm.
Um, and then also it might just be knowing what you need for yourself to support you. So if it's like a regular gym practice even, or a regular daily walk or daily meditation, or maybe you go to the beach, like what do you do that can help you when you are stressed? Like you need to know and be aware of all these things in case something comes up, because you need to know how to sort of help yourself.
Mm.
But also 1,000% having professional support or knowing where to get access to it. One-on-ones are great if you've never done anything like this before. I guess you just have to look into the practitioner, make sure that, yeah, it's a full body yes.
Mhm.
Um, and also make sure that they can offer you some sort of support after the session.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Even I did like a one-on-one breath work and luckily, or like not even lucky, it was fine, but um those like shakes you were talking about, I had the like crab hand thing happen, where it's like
Oh, the training.
yeah, your
Yeah.
hands keep
Yeah. So
stuck
people
that
like
way.
that. Yeah,
Even that
people
was
don't know that.
terrifying.
And then it
Yeah.
happens to them and they're terrified.
Yeah, yeah. Like even that could happen. And like
Yeah.
full body convulsing, like I feel like people go, oh, that's not gonna happen, or that doesn't happen, or like that's nothing big, I guess. Like, I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, when it's happening to you, it's a lot, obviously. And you need
Yeah.
someone to be able to help you get out of it, or like you need to just be told what's happening, and literally that releases it, or you get the chance to release it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
can be crazy. So yeah, everyone do
I
it
think
in
that's
slow
why.
steps.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why yoga is such a fabulous place to start.
Mm,
And yeah, like yoga is a gateway drug in that sense,
mm,
because you go to yoga for maybe the relaxation or maybe, the just to be able to do like the splits or whatever, I don't know, whatever it is, and you decide to go to yoga.
yeah.
But it's those very small little micro droplets of that embodiment and being aware of the bodily sensations, interoception, knowing what's going on inside the body. And you do get that through yoga. And then you start to build that awareness and presence and resilience capacity within the body and the nervous system, um, before you can go on to, yeah, go to these bigger events. So I always say to everyone, I get some people coming to me who want to do energy work. They've never done anything before. My first question is always, have you tried yoga? Start there. And
Yeah, that's a
I'll
good
make them
one.
I'll make them come to yoga first, because as we said before, if you've never dropped into your body or been aware of your body, that can be scary. And yoga is a really nice, gentle way to sort of start that process. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good ritual. And like it has that ripple effect of those other rituals you're mentioning. Like, do you go for walks? Do you like
Mm,
consciously do certain things to support yourself? And comes back to rituals. And uh,
absolutely.
yeah, I really love that. And
And
embodiment of, in the sense of like becoming someone else. Like when I feel like when you go to yoga, you get to like be not be a different person, but embody like a yogi for a minute and see how that feels, and then that ripples into giving you more insight into what you could do for yourself. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's yeah, there's so much to it. There is so much to yoga. There is so much with yoga philosophy and all the other amazing things that come from it. What I was going to say before is just when you mentioned the word rituals, I mean that word in itself, a ritual is essentially an act just done with intention.
mm,
Yeah, and intention is presence. It's just being mindful. So anything that you do in your life, like having a cup of tea or coffee or going for a walk, there's a difference between, making a ritual out of it. It's with intention, it's embodied, you're present, or just, you're quickly making a coffee while you're on the phone and you've got all these things going on and
yeah,
uh, yeah, which is how most of us live our life. But yeah, it's just having that ability to be present. Hmm.
yeah. It's actually what I've been telling everyone lately because I felt the transition. I had the transition, and I was like, guys, time slows down when you just do everything as an intentional ritual. Like just do it with intention. And cool. You kind of like time slows down, everything lines up really well. And I'm like, I sound like a crazy person, but it works.
Like the faster you go, the more stuff you try to fit in, the
Mhm.
faster the world spins, the faster time goes, and then you don't have time for anything. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Nothing works out ever,
yeah,
like properly.
you got to redo everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do you stay connected to your body while running your business? So, body rituals, and we'll go with that one first.
Mm. Yeah, coming back to I guess just making sure that I notice when I'm dropping out of my body, or I notice if I'm going too much into that masculine doing energy or that cognitive thinking energy. Um, so awareness, constantly just taking a moment to check in and have that awareness. And there is times when I don't get time to do a yoga practice. I don't get time to, have that full hour for myself or whatever, but it's just stopping and taking a few breaths in between a task or before speaking to someone or before responding to an email or, just taking that little pause. Yeah.
Love that. And
Mm.
like, do you have like boundaries or any other rituals that you do?
Mm. So since opening the studio, oh, rituals in the sense of cleansing, opening the space and cleansing and closing the space,
Mm-hmm.
they've been really important. And a ritual of like just letting the shit go at the end of the day. Um, letting anything that's happened for the day, just trying to let it go, which is easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
But that comes into creating boundaries, which is something that I'm definitely working on. Boundaries around going, okay, look, it's the end of the day, it's 9 o'clock or whatever it might be. We're just not going to focus on work anymore. We're going to put the phone down. Um, yeah, and just be present at home or be present with yourself, do something for you. So yeah, all ties back into boundaries, really.
Yeah.
What other rituals do I have? Oh, I
Boundaries
mean,
look
I think
so weird.
hey,
Sorry, I was just thinking like boundaries can look so weird from the outside. Like, and like setting that, like setting your phone down, setting social
oh,
media down, and people are always like, where are you? Where have you been? And it's like,
I know,
set a
I know.
boundary.
Yeah,
Surrounding yourself with people that understand those things important.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's a daily challenge. It's a daily struggle. Something I'm working on. I wouldn't say I've nailed it at all. It's just something I'm aware of and something I'm working on. And you don't always get it right, but you know, every time that you don't get it right is a little lesson, really. And it's an opportunity to, yeah, maybe change up the way you do things or, yeah, put a boundary in place to make sure that it doesn't happen next time. Um, but yeah, for me, I think it's like just making that time to really be present outside of work, even if it's only for like 1 day a week or a half a day, in that week, just going out in nature, always, always nature. Um, yeah, spending time with my partner, spending time with my dogs. I think dogs, pets maybe just are able to keep you, yeah, so present because you can just yeah, take them for a walk or just spend time with them. You connect with an animal and they just, yeah, drop you straight into that sort of presence. So, yeah, that's really
Yeah.
important.
And they
Mm.
deserve that presence. So yeah, giving them that moment gives you that moment, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mm.
Has has knowing your human design, so your 5-1 splenic projector, has that impacted how you run your business or how do you do your rituals?
So yeah, the whole human design rabbit hole.
We'll
When
go a
this
tiny
when
bit
this
into it.
concept,
Yeah.
yeah, I think when this concept first came into my field, I didn't really believe in it. I had everyone, and people still do, just assume I'm Manny Gen. And then when I found out I was a projector, I was like, oh, this doesn't make sense. The more that I, the more that I looked into it, I realized it actually made perfect sense. Um, it's more about prioritizing rest, being present, waiting for an invitation, in a sense, to do things rather than pushing yourself on other people or pushing a thing out there. It's waiting for those little signs from the universe or those little signs from other people that, yeah, this is the good time for things. And also just the understanding that with the splenic authority, it's all about trusting your gut and trusting your intuition. So I guess it just really confirmed for me the way that I do make decisions, which is completely yeah, completely from my gut and intuition. Yeah, that's the right way for me to be making decisions, even though other people might not agree with it. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of that was really well put, by the way, but damn. So that's one of the most important probably because it feels like something you need to explain. Like I feel like it's just knowing that you get stuck in the trap of trying to explain your knowing and it's kind of
Yeah,
impossible. So you
yeah,
just gotta let that go, let that shit go.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My partner is like the most logical man, and I'm forever explaining. He's like, well, why are you doing that? I'm like, just because I just know, like, I just know. And he's like, what do you mean you can't just know? I'm like, well, no, I know.
If you trust yourself enough in previous like occasions, right, you just kind of do and you just know and you go for it and no
Yeah,
one else needs to
right.
back that up. Beautiful.
Yes, and the more you do go with the flow, go with your intuition, things just seem to work out.
Mm,
Yeah, not all
yeah.
the time, of course, but it does, it's creating that flow, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone has that. It's just I feel like we have a really strong and then they have other ways like well, the whole thing in human design is like giving you your reference to where you can tune into your intuition. Like specifically,
Mhm.
God is like generators, but like I feel like spleen, you don't feel your spleen, but you just have this like wide knowing, it's
Mm.
very grounded
Yeah,
knowing. Like that's where
yeah,
it comes from. Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
it's connected, I mean, the spleen is connected to a few other sort of like digestive and processing organs. It's part of that process.
Mm,
Um, So it is a more of a wider knowing rather than that impulsive, maybe potentially gut feeling. It's like a deeper intuition.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
so cool.
Mm.
It's funny because like you just get a chance to tune into it more. I feel like the more you talk to other projectors, they're like, yeah, that's how I feel it. Who kind of like the spleen one.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
go, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
The number profiles in human design, though, that's been another yeah, interesting realization, I guess. We were talking before about the numbers. I'm a 5/1 projector, so the five is uh, the heretic, and it talks about, I guess, going against the grain in a way and not getting sucked into dogma. But also, what comes with that is there's an element of people pleasing. So realizing that I am prone to people pleasing, and it is in my human design, has been really important to focus on. Uh,
How
just
do you
yeah, again, it
feel
all comes
about
back
it?
to that awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but they like, yeah, you have like that savior energy on the top, but
Mm,
how do you feel
mhm.
about that one energy of like that knowledge seeker researcher? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you feel like you've leaned into that or you want to, or that is somewhere you feel like it's taking you?
It's definitely, I love researching things. I love knowing everything about something before I have an opinion on it. People ask my opinion on a lot of things, and if I really don't know, I will say, oh, I need to go and like research that a little bit more to have more of an opinion. Because I want to come from like an informed place. So I am always researching and investigating and diving deeper into things. But then the shadow side, I guess, of that, the dark side of that is sometimes I can spend too long looking into things instead of doing the thing.
Yeah.
I want to be ready, like I want to have all the info before I go and do it. So yeah, it's just
Yeah,
again
that's the catch.
back to that self-awareness, like knowing yeah, when you've done enough study, when you know enough stuff and you can trust yourself that you're talking about this thing or doing this thing from a place of knowing you've got enough knowledge, like trust yourself, back yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's an untangling we've all gone on.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
yeah, yeah, that's like the definitely the shadow, the like little lesson to learn in there, like that space of
Mhm.
like I've learned enough, I have the knowledge, I am the guide. Let's do the action now, and that's where the
Yeah.
fear always comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's hilarious. Oh, love that. You described that really well. I hope that helps other splenic projectors. Um, I'd love to talk more about what you were saying about trauma, neurodivergence, and autoimmune disease, and like that healing experience
Mm.
that you like uncover.
Yeah, absolutely. Another topic that is just huge, and it's like, how do you how do you kind of like summarize that in a small amount of time? And again, I guess I'll just start with my own experience of having a traumatic childhood, being diagnosed with an autoimmune condition at
Mm,
the age of 8. So I've got Hashimoto's, which is the autoimmune version of the underactive thyroid. And if you're getting into a little of the woo or the metaphysical side of things, of course, the thyroid, the throat, it is our ability to speak our truth, say what we want, say what we, really feel. And we see a lot, and I know this is true for my experience, when that your voice has been suppressed, it does show up in throat and thyroid sort of issues. And then, yeah, anything autoimmune is just a more extreme version of that. It's where my, so for me, the autoimmune thyroid, my own body, thyroid. So it's kind of creates that disease and illness in the body. Um, I guess my favorite reference to all of this is the body keeps the score by Gabor Mate. But then there's also Louise Hay. I'm trying to think of the name of her book. Forgot about it. Anyway, so it's like the
yeah.
metaphysical aspect
Was that the heal your
or
body one?
relate heal your body. Yes, thank you. Yes. So it's the metaphysical aspect of the emotion, the stress, the disease, and the organ that it's related to. And of course, Gabor Mate talks a lot about how everything that we've been through, whether that's, big T trauma or a little T trauma or little stresses that we had especially in our early development, they all stay in the body. They all affect the body. We know that stress alters the brain. We know that stress alters the body's systems. We know that I guess stress, of course, causes illness. It affects the immune system. Um, and all of that, essentially, it's all just a byproduct of inflammation, really. So yeah, stress, trauma, everything, it does have a physical effect on the body and on the brain. Our brain responds differently and starts developing differently, hence leading into things like neurodivergence. Um, I've recently been diagnosed with ADHD, and even though it does run in my family, I believe that just because you're genetically, I guess, predisposed to it, it doesn't mean that you will definitely end up being neurodivergent. Or I think it's definitely you're a product of your environment, right? So yeah,
Mm.
you can have that gene there, that genetic disposition or predisposition, but it's also how, yeah, the experiences in your life had that effect on your body, your stress levels, your immune system, to create that neurodivergence, to create that autoimmune condition, to create that dis-ease in the body. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just how it plays, like it gets to play out if you've put yourself back in that environment again, or you keep yourself in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gosh, there's so much there to go into, and my own journey of like healing my thyroid symptoms. I still have an autoimmune condition, it is still there. So my symptoms are definitely like managed. It came from starting to, yeah, do that embodiment, do that bodily processing, that somatic work. That's when I started to notice a difference in in my symptoms. It wasn't, there was no medication, nothing else that I did that would change anything. It
Mm.
was going into the traumas, the emotions that were trapped in my body. And yeah, starting to work with them through that somatic embodiment work. Yeah.
Mm. Fascinating. And it's like we were talking about that,
Yeah.
how the physical is just so tied to like the mindset and the mental, the mind body soul connection, I suppose. Hmm.
Mm.
There's a
Yeah.
lot.
And it's not a new thing.
Yeah.
Even if you look at something like Chinese medicine, they knew about this like 5,000 years ago. A lot of Ayurveda. So Chinese medicine and Ayurveda are like the two big sort of original sciences, I guess. And they knew about it.
Yeah. And they knew it just from trusting themselves.
Yeah,
Which is
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, well, I think, yeah, Western medicine has a lot to answer for. We don't look into like the root cause or the metaphysical, the body-based aspect of, yeah, the symptoms. So,
Mm. And a lot of giving your power away, which we need to stop and pull back, really.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm forever ranting on about that. Yeah, don't trust them just because they've got a, medical certificate up on the wall there. Yeah, it's yeah. And again, that comes back to that gatekeeping of knowledge, right? That gatekeeping of knowledge. And I guess there's a lot of messaging around, even something as simple as like naturopathy being removed from like private health. See, and they're called alternative therapies. I think
Mhm.
even like acupuncture is called an alternative therapy.
Even chiropractor is.
Yeah, chiropractic, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So instantly there's that messaging that, oh, that's alternative. Maybe it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, but it does work. It's the stuff that's been around. It was the medicine before medicine. And it was all, yeah, natural, body related, body work, herbal remedies, using what we had around us. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the stuff that lets all the energy move through you and, do the things it's meant to do, not get stuck stagnant like we
Mhm.
yeah. Like what you do
Absolutely.
with lymphatics.
Yes.
Mm.
Lymphatics. Oh gosh, great segue into that. And just coming back, I guess, to the neurodivergence, our brain actually has its own lymphatic system. It's called the glymphatic system, right?
Mhm.
Um, and neurodivergence, cognitive decline, things like Alzheimer's, stuff like that, even just on a general day-to-day basis, like brain fog, yeah, which of course is a symptom of
Mhm.
ADHD, a symptom of autoimmune. Yeah, but actually what it is a symptom of like toxin buildup in the
Mm.
brain. And there's so many reasons why that occurs. Won't get into all of it today, but yeah, looking after the lymphatics and making sure that your body can process toxins, can process the things that have happened to it or we've put into it or that it's experienced, all goes through the lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system has such a big role to play in, yeah, reducing that inflammation and then helping those symptoms of disease. And there's big links to the lymph system and neurodivergence. Yeah. Yeah.
That's fascinating. So that might be a good place to start if you've been diagnosed or you feel like you have it and clearing out
Yeah.
your lymphatics has a lot of benefits if you want to go from that angle, go that way.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, absolutely. Well, they say, if you've got a lymphatic system, you've got a lymphatic system issue. Like there are
Full
just
stop.
so many there are so many toxins, yeah, in our world, in our food, in our house, like fragrances, even environmental toxins, things like our phones and stuff like that too. But in just a simple way, we're not getting that quality of, yeah, vitamins and minerals from our food anymore. And our body is overloaded. The lymphatic system processes toxins from the body. It's like our body's sewage system. And it it needs help. It's a system that doesn't have a pump. Like our heart has a pump. It kind of just, does its thing most of the time for most people, I guess. It just works on its own. But our lymphatic system, it requires us to move it. So we do that through movement, like physical movement. And we also do that through breathing, deep diaphragmatic breathing. And we also do that through manual movement. So like lymphatic drainage techniques, through massage, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely something you just didn't understand when people are like, lymphatic drainage, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's having a resurgence, I guess. It's having
Thankfully.
there's some more evidence and I guess more information coming out around it. It is definitely thanks, I guess, to social media and stuff like that too. There is a lot of information coming out around it where it was considered alternative before. Yeah, which is just absolute madness.
It's madness. It's our system. It's a system that needs support. It's madness.
I know, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I love it. That was great. We'll dive into all of that in another episode. So it's a mini
Yes.
episode if anyone wants to tune into that because it's super important.
Yeah, and it does. It needs a whole episode to itself.
Yeah, it really does. And I find it so fascinating and it's so helpful and like there's things that you can do at home for it. So anyway,
Mm.
um I
Stay
love to
tuned.
just ask what like comfort zones you are edging on right now and smashing through right now at the moment personally.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I feel like the last 6 months, like this second half of this year, has really tested. Like I've not been in my comfort zone. I've been way out of it. I obviously opened like expanded body rituals, opened the wellness space. So we've got the yoga studio and treatment rooms and all that. I have taken on, you know, staff. I've taken on like a commercial lease. I've done all these things and it's so far out of my comfort zone. I've always been really independent and have made sure that it's just me. I only rely on me and I only have to sort of, worry about me. And now I am having to, I guess, support my staff and also have them support me. And I'm also having to lean on other people for support, like mentors. So that's way out of my comfort zone. It's amazing. And it's been so great. I'm learning so much. I feel like every day at the moment I'm just learning so much. But yeah, learning to have firmer boundaries, learning to control that people pleasing side of me that comes from a place of service, of course, of wanting to help people. But where I'm realizing that it's at my detriment is when I'm self-sacrificing or when I'm not looking after my best interest in support of this other person or this. So yeah, boundaries. It's all coming back to boundaries, really. Boundaries is my word for 2025.
Oh yeah, that's so good. I love the awareness though. Like, my God, I like to rely on myself, and now I'm like being helped by all these people, but having to rely on them as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Mm.
love it. Um, what's one book, podcast, or person that's inspiring you right now? It's my new favorite question.
Ooh. At the moment, the books I'm reading and the podcasts I'm listening to are actually all around the lymphatic system and fascia and how the two are sort of connected. I
Fascinating.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
else is like, wow, that's dry. I would love to read
And
it.
I can't, do you know what? I actually can't pinpoint one because I'm actually really finding it hard, yeah, to find this really good information. So I've literally gone back to I went to the library the other week. I feel like I've been going through like it's like that. I have to go like back through the old school way of like researching stuff. So yeah, there's
Interesting.
not one particular podcast that I've found. I do have a couple of books, book recommendations around the lymphatic system, and also ones that include how you can help your lymphatic system at home. So One's here. Where is it? I don't have it
Do you
here.
want to drop it in the
I,
next episode?
yeah, we'll dive into
Everyone
that.
has to tune in
Oh,
now.
yeah. Yeah, but yeah, just lymph and fascia. It's all lymph and fascia.
I love it. That's your focus right now. Go hard into the studying of the thing that's like
Mm,
lighting you up and like in your journey right now. Love it.
yeah.
So what's one piece of advice you'd love to leave people with?
Hmm. One piece of advice I would love to leave the listeners with is to make that embodiment practice, make that ritual of presence, that creating that space for dropping into your body. Just make it small, make it achievable, but make it regular. So whether that's, like I said before, just a couple of moments taking a deep breath while you're driving in the car, or perhaps while on a walk, instead of, busying yourself with a podcast or a phone call or something else. Just making those micro moments, making space for micro moments of presence to cultivate that embodiment and that somatic awareness. Yeah.
Beautiful. Everyone needs to hear that.
Mm.
Did would you like to share your offer that we were talking about at the beginning?
Yeah, sure. So I have a somatic embodiment retreat coming up next year, so 2025, May 8th to 11th, and it will be held down in just outside of Bunbury in the Ferguson Valley at the most exquisite resort, retreat resort. And I say resort, and you get instant connotations of like, Crown Resort or something.
Yeah.
It's in nature. It's out on 12 acres in the bush, and it's just absolutely amazing. It will be a deep dive into all things somatic, embodiment, all of that, women only. The retreat is called Surrender into Soma, and I'm offering your listeners $250 off their ticket. But I only have 4 spaces left. So yeah, they're going to go quick.
Better get in quick, yeah. Or you'll get on the wait
Yeah,
list for next year, maybe the following.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. That sounds so good. I'm definitely gonna have to come to that retreat. And she
Yeah,
is trauma informed, guys, so you can go and feel supported before and after.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No red flags here, hopefully. Maybe
No. You're
I'm
good.
aware of them though.
Aware of the red flag. Yeah, like holding
Yeah.
it. Like, this is my red flag, guys, just so you know.
Yeah.
If only people did that on Tinder. But anyway.
Oh God. Right?
So funny. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I love that. And yeah, I'm so glad. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. People can find me, which is, I guess, my yoga personal side of things. I dive more into the somatic embodiment stuff on there at Soma Rituals, Instagram soma.rituals, and the Body Rituals Instagram is bodyrituals.wa. So yeah, jump onto either of them. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here and sharing all of your wisdom and knowledge and goodness.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much for listening. I do hope you enjoyed that. We are exploring our comfort zones and our edges with every episode, every guest, and every episode I do by myself. If you have enjoyed this, please follow us on Spotify, leave a 5-star review or a review on Apple Podcasts. It would mean the world to us. We get to grow and have more informative guests on, more provocative guests if that's what you want. I am so down to see where this grows. In the meantime, follow me on Instagram at amanda.petra__, and I would love to chat with you in the DMs. What hit home, what didn't, what came to mind. It would be really cool. So I will see you there, and thank you so much. See you in the next episode. Although our podcast presenters and all guests strive to deliver accurate information, they cannot address your unique circumstances comprehensively. Therefore, the content shared by any speaker on this platform is not personalized advice for individuals and should not substitute professional medical or health guidance. It is crucial to consult a qualified medical professional or for personalized advice. Additionally, always seek guidance from a healthcare provider before making decisions regarding your health or that of your family. Furthermore, it's essential to recognize that what works for one person may not work for another, emphasizing individual responsibility for health decisions as promoted on our show.